Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years. Hello, thanks for watching Quilty. I'm Mary Fons, and I'm here with published author and Quilty columnist Kelly Biscopink. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
It's great to have you back.
Thank you very much.
You know, we should make it a thing.
We should.
Let's make it a thing. And let's start with hanging sleeves. I am surprised we haven't done a show on this yet, but you're here to tell us all about it. Why would we want a hanging, what is it, and why would we want one on our quilt?
Well, if you're making a small quilt that you want to display on a wall, you're going to need some way to hang it if you don't want to just put thumbtacks through it, which is also a possibility.
Super glue is also a possibility. Don't use it. Don't use it. Okay.
Don't do it. Or if you're actually putting a quilt in a quilt show, they're going to request that you have a way to hang it.
That is the most likely situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have two methods of hanging sleeves that I'm going to show you today.
Great.
The first is real quick and easy for your own home or for something small. You're not going to want to use this on big quilts. This is basically a corner pocket method. All you're going to do is you're going to cut a square of fabric. This can get bigger or larger depending on the size of your quilt. This is about a 5.5-inch square. But these are great to use your scraps for.
Quick question, Kelly, sorry to interrupt, but if you had a really large quilt, I think maybe your second option is going to be better. We'll get there. But if you have a really heavy quilt, the corner thing maybe not as sturdy.
Probably not going to work.
Great for this size.
For something small, this is super perfect for that. If it's any heavier, it's going to start to kind of droop in the middle with this method. But for something small, just going to cut 2 squares of fabric, and you're going to fold it once and a half on the diagonal with wrong sides together. Once that's done, before you put your binding on, you're going to align a square on each of the top corners of your quilt, and you're going to baste along the 2 raw edge sides to secure it closer to the edge. You'll want to use more like an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance.
Great. And you had a couple stitches there.
Yes.
Reinforce that.
You'll see your 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just basting stitches there. When you add on your binding, you're going to firmly secure that in place with your normal 1/4 inch seam.
Great.
And then you'll cover all of those seams up when you pull your binding to the wrong side, to the back side.
You're sewing it into your quilt.
You're sewing into your quilt.
So sturdy. I mean, yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're going to wind up with one of these little pockets on the top half of your quilt, and all you need to do is you can either use a yardstick, cut down to the width, or a dowel rod.
Yeah, that's great. And then you can either put the dowel rod up on hooks, on the wall, or maybe you hang a little, little
Exactly.
thing. Those things.
Just a little thing.
Yeah, just a little thing. And we've got one that's done.
Yes.
It's really cool. I have to show this actual quilt.
Yes. I did not make this. This was a gift from my friend Phoebe.
Cool. In rainbow, right?
In rainbow. Always
thing.
rainbow.
And then, so we've got this here.
We have 2 little hanging pockets right here. And she obviously used the backing fabric, which is Allison Glass, to just to blend in.
So great. Cool, man. Okay, so let's talk about the other way, which I think is something you see more often, and certainly is what, well, you were saying it's required for the big Paducah show. They have like definite guidelines for your hanging sleeve.
Yes.
So
this method, you're going to want to go ahead and put your binding on your quilts and go ahead and finish it up. And then you're going to measure the width of your quilt from edge to edge. That's going to be the width that you're going to cut your hanging sleeve.
Great.
So we have that right here. So this is the width of the quilt by 8.5 inches. You're going to start off by folding each of the short ends under a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch again. And then you're going to stitch along those edges, just like here.
Great. That's the basting stitch?
That's the basting stitch. Okay, just to secure those ends. You're going to fold in half and press really well. You might want to use a little best press on that, just to get that seam really crispy. Open it back up, and then you're going to fold each long end into the center and press again. Okay, so that's what that's going to look like.
More pressing, more
Yes.
starching.
Then you're going to open all that back up, and you're going to fold it right sides together, long edge to long edge.
They're serious. This is the way you got to do this. It's a great method. I mean, it's really great, but yeah, very
It's a
particular.
little steppy, but yeah, you'll get there. You're going to 1/4 inch seam all along your long edge right there. And what you're going to wind up with looks like this. Next step is flip that bad boy
Turn it.
right side out.
It's great. It's like a sock out of the laundry.
It is a bit like a sock out of the
Or
laundry.
if you do bags, there's a lot of turning inside and outside with you when you're sewing bags.
Yes, and what's going to happen here is, first of all of your raw edges are now contained on the inside.
Very nice.
And those super crispy seams that you just starched are going to give you a little bit of extra guidance when you're going to put this on your quilt. So what happened is when you took that 1/4 inch seam, you now have extra fabric on the top than on the bottom.
Yeah, that's good. So then if you put it on your...
You're going to put it on your quilt. You'll want to measure a 1/2 inch down from the top of your quilt and just draw a line so that you can line up the top of your hanging sleeve. Just make sure it's real even. And you'll just do a stitch right down both long edges.
Hand stitching.
Hand
'cause
stitch,
you wanna,
just like a binding stitch.
just like a binding.
Just keep it really kind of hidden. And also on the bottom side of each end. And
Great.
that attaches your sleeve.
It's really secure. And I have to tell you, I was at a show, I was at an original sewing and quilt expo show recently, and we had a lot of quilts that came in that didn't have sleeves on them, and we had to hang them. And I have to say, what we did is we had a bunch of these like little noodles, and what we had to do is we had to pin them on. And in a bind, you know, you can do that, but you have to have this part. So, but you know, maybe if you're going to shows and stuff, throw a few of those in your stuff. You never know when you need to hang a quilt, and you don't want to be sewing those things at the show somehow.
Exactly.
You know. So great, Kelly. Thank you so much. Hanging sleeves are good. Put a label on your quilt. Why not throw a hanging sleeve on while you're working on finishing up your quilt? You never know when it's gonna win a blue ribbon, and it can't do that without it hanging up. Thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Please come back.
I will.
Good. See ya.
Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years.